The key was small, tarnished, the kind you'd overlook in a junk drawer. It sat in my palm, heavier than it should have been, like it carried the weight of a secret. I found it in Ellen's coat pocket, the one she wore to book club last night. The coat smelled faintly of cigarette smoke. She'd quit a decade ago. My fingers traced the key's jagged edge, and something in my gut twisted, a warning I couldn't name. Outside, the Ohio dusk bled orange over our cul-de-sac, kids' bikes strewn like forgotten promises. Ellen was upstairs, humming, oblivious. 40 years of marriage, and I'd never rifled through her things. Until now. I'm not a suspicious man. Retired history teacher, keeper of routines, coffee at Mabel's diner, Sunday crosswords, mowing the lawn before the neighbors judge. But lately, Ellen's been off. Her laughter sharper, her eyes darting when I ask about her day. Last week she came home late, her cheeks flushed, claiming the book club ran long. Jane Austen, she'd said, but her copy of Pride and Prejudice was still on the shelf, unopened. The key wasn't hers, not one of ours. It was old, stamped with a faint S12, and it burned in my hand like a question I wasn't ready to ask. The stairs creaked as I climbed, key tucked in my fist. Ellen was in our bedroom, brushing her hair, her reflection caught in the vanity mirror. She didn't see me in the doorway, didn't notice the way my shadow fell across her. "Good book club?" I asked, voice steady. She froze just for a second, then smiled too brightly. "Oh, same old gossip." Her lie was smooth, practiced, and it cut deeper than I expected. I wanted to hold up the key, demand answers, but something stopped me. Maybe fear, maybe the part of me that still loved her. Downstairs, the key sat on the kitchen counter, glinting under the fluorescent light. I poured a whiskey, the cheap kind Ellen hated, and stared at it. S12. A safe? A storage unit? A lover's apartment? The thought made my stomach lurch. Ellen, with her soft hands and softer lies, wasn't the cheating type, or so I'd told myself, but the smoke on her coat, the late nights, the key, they were clues, breadcrumbs leading somewhere I didn't want to go. What's she hiding? The question gnawed as I rifled through her purse, feeling like a thief in my own home. Lipstick, receipts, a crumpled napkin from the rusty spoon, the dive bar across town. Ellen didn't go to places like that. The napkin had a phone number scrawled in blue ink, not her handwriting. My pulse hammered. I could call it, hear a stranger's voice, confirm the betrayal. But I didn't. Not yet. The next morning, Mabel's diner was its usual 2025 hum. Locals griping about gas prices, the jukebox stuck on Springsteen. I sat at the counter, key in my pocket, sipping coffee that tasted like regret. Old Pete, the town gossip, leaned over. "Heard Ellen's been cozy with that new guy at the community center. Real slick type." My grip tightened on the mug. New guy? I hadn't heard of any new guy. Pete's words were a hook, sinking deep. I drove to the community center, a squat brick building where Ellen volunteered. The key felt alive in my pocket, urging me forward. Inside, the air smelled of bleach and bad decisions. A bulletin board listed events. Yoga, bake sales, a fundraiser for the town's new library. Ellen's name was everywhere, her neat handwriting on every sign-up sheet. Too perfect, too involved. I scanned the crowd, looking for a slick type, but found only familiar faces. Then I saw it, a locked door at the back marked Storage S12. My breath caught. The key. It fit, didn't it? I could walk over, slide it in, see what Ellen was hiding. A safe, maybe stuffed with secrets, or something worse. My hand hovered over the key, heart pounding. Footsteps echoed behind me. Someone was coming. I turned, expecting Ellen, but it was just a janitor, mop in hand. "You lost, Tom?" he asked. I forced a smile, backing away. Not yet. I wasn't ready. That night, Ellen cooked dinner, her hand steady as she chopped onions. "You're quiet," she said, not looking up. "Everything okay?" Her voice was a trap, daring me to call her out. I wanted to slam the key on the table, watch her squirm. Instead, I nodded, my silence a weapon. The napkin's phone number burned in my mind. Who's on the other end? I'd find out. Soon. As she slept, I sat in the dark, key in hand, the house too quiet. S12 wasn't just a lock, it was a door to something bigger, something that could ruin us. Tomorrow, I'd go back to that storage room. Tomorrow, I'd know the truth. But what if the truth was worse than betrayal? What if Ellen wasn't just cheating, but hiding something that could destroy everything? The community center smelled like stale coffee and desperation, its fluorescent lights buzzing like a trapped fly. I stood before the S12 door, the key slick in my sweaty palm, its jagged edges biting into my skin. Outside, the 2025 Ohio morning was gray, the kind of gray that makes you question every choice you've ever made. Ellen was at home, probably sipping tea, her lies as smooth as the porcelain cup in her hands. I told her I was grabbing donuts from Mabel's, a lie to match hers. The key wasn't just a key anymore, it was a grenade, and I was about to pull the pin. The hallway was empty, save for the hum of a distant vacuum. My heart thumped, loud enough to betray me. I slid the key into the lock. It fit. Of course it did. The door clicked open, revealing a dim storage room, cluttered with folding chairs and boxes of Christmas lights. At the back, a small safe, rusted but sturdy, squatted like a guilty secret. S12 was etched on its door. My mouth went dry. This was it, Ellen's hiding place, the vault of her betrayal. I knelt, the concrete cold through my jeans, and turned the key in the safe's lock. It resisted, then gave way with a groan. Inside, a stack of papers, a velvet pouch, and a single photograph. My hand shook as I grabbed the photo first. Ellen, laughing, her arm around a man I didn't know. He was tall, slick, with a smile that screamed trouble. The background was the rusty spoon, that dive bar from the napkin. My chest tightened. Who the hell is he? The papers were worse. Bank statements, not ours, showing transfers, thousands of dollars to an account I didn't recognize. The name on the account, E. Carver. Ellen Carver. My Ellen. The numbers swam before my eyes. $10,000, $25,000, gone. Our retirement, our life, funneled somewhere else. To him? To this stranger with the smug grin? My fingers brushed the velvet pouch. Inside, a gold watch, engraved, to R, forever. Not my initial, not my watch. What's she done with our money? The question clawed at me as I stuffed the photo and a few statements into my jacket. The watch stayed in my hand, heavy, accusing. I wanted to smash it, to confront Ellen, to scream until the truth spilled out. But I didn't. Not yet. I needed more. The safe held one last thing, a folded note, her handwriting. Meet me at the library, 8 p.m. Don't tell T. T, me, Thomas. The vacuum's hum stopped. Footsteps. I shoved the note in my pocket, locked the safe, and slipped out, heart racing. The janitor from yesterday eyed me from the end of the hall. Back again, Tom. His tone was too knowing, like he'd seen this play before. I muttered something about lost keys and bolted for the exit. Outside, the air hit like a slap. The library. Tonight. Ellen was meeting him, whoever he was. I drove to Mabel's diner needing noise, people, anything to drown the rage. The watch burned a hole in my pocket. Old Pete was there nursing his coffee. Heard anything about that new guy? I asked, casual as I could manage. Pete's eyes gleamed. Runs the library fundraiser. Name's Roger. Real charming. Seen him with Ellen a lot. Roger, R., the watch. My jaw clenched. The diner's chatter faded as I sipped my coffee, plotting. I could go to the library, catch them in the act, see Ellen's face when she realized I knew, or I could dig deeper, follow the money, find out how far this went. The bank statements hinted at something bigger. Charity fraud, maybe, tied to that library fundraiser. Ellen, the perfect volunteer, stealing from the town? It didn't add up. Or it added up too well. That afternoon, I sat in our living room, the watch hidden in my desk. Ellen was out, running errands. I called the bank, voice steady, and asked about the account. Closed last week, the clerk said. Large withdrawal. Mrs. Carver handled it. My blood ran cold. She was covering her tracks. What's she planning? The library meeting was my chance to find out. As dusk fell, I grabbed my coat. The note crumpled in my fist. The library was a mile away, its windows glowing like a trap. I'd be there, hidden, watching. Ellen thought she was clever, but I was learning her game. The watch, the money, Roger, they were pieces of a puzzle, and I was close to seeing the whole picture. But what if the picture was uglier than I could handle? What if Ellen wasn't just a liar, but a thief who'd sold our life for a stranger? The library's glow spilled onto the sidewalk, a beacon in the 2025 Ohio night. I crouched behind a hedge, the key in my pocket sharp against my thigh, Ellen's note a crumpled accusation in my fist. Meet me at the library, 8 p.m. Don't tell T. The words looped in my head, each one a betrayal. Ellen's car was parked out front, next to a sleek black sedan I didn't recognize. Roger's, no doubt. The watch's engraving, to R, forever, burned in my memory. My Ellen, my wife of 40 years, was inside, whispering secrets to a man who wasn't me. The air smelled of rain and regret, and I wondered how I'd become this, a retiree playing spy in his own life. The library was quiet, its windows fogged from the autumn chill. I slipped around back where a side door stood ajar, probably Ellen's doing. My heart thudded as I eased inside, the scent of old books and polish thick in the air. Voices drifted from the reading room, Ellen's, low and urgent, and a man's, smooth, too familiar. I edged closer, hiding behind a shelf, my breath shallow. Through a gap in the books, I saw them. Ellen, her face flushed, leaned toward a man with sharp cheekbones and graying hair. Roger. His hand brushed hers and my stomach twisted. But then he turned, and the light caught his face. My knees buckled. I knew him. Not from photos, not from Pete's gossip. From 20 years ago. Roger Holt. The name hit like a fist. Why him? The question seared as memories flooded back. Roger was my student, a smug senior I'd failed for cheating on a history exam. He'd sworn revenge, cornering me in the school parking lot, his eyes wild. You'll regret this, Tom. I'd laughed it off, a teacher's bravado. He left town, or so I thought. Now he was here, touching my wife, stealing my life. The bank statements, the watch, Ellen's lies. They weren't just an affair. This was personal. Roger hadn't forgotten me, and neither had Ellen. Their voices sharpened. The money's safe, Ellen said, her tone clipped. But Tom's been curious. Roger smirked. Let him dig. He won't find the real account. Real account? My pulse raced. The statements I'd found, $25,000 gone, were a decoy. There was more, hidden deeper, tied to their library fundraiser. A scam, maybe, fleecing the town while Ellen played the saint. I clutched the key, my only proof. S-12. The safe. It held answers, but not all of them. What else are they hiding? I shifted, and a book slipped, thumping softly. Ellen froze. What was that? She hissed. Roger's eyes scanned the shelves, and I pressed against the wall, heart hammering. If they found me, what then? Confront them? Run. My fingers brushed the note in my pocket, its ink smudged from my grip. I needed to hear more, to know how far this went. Roger stood, his shadow looming. Probably nothing, he said, but his voice was tight. Ellen nodded, unconvinced, and they moved toward the back where the fundraiser records were kept. I followed, silent. The library, a maze of shadows. They stopped at a locked cabinet. Ellen pulling a key from her purse. Not mine, another. My mind reeled. How many secrets did she have? The cabinet creaked open, revealing ledgers, thick with numbers. Roger flipped through one, muttering about clean transfers. Ellen glanced around, nervous. "If Tom finds out," she started. Roger cut her off. "He won't. Not after all these years." After all these years. My blood ran cold. This wasn't new. Ellen and Roger, they'd known each other longer than I'd realized. Since his school days? Before? The realization hit. Roger's revenge wasn't just against me. It was through Ellen, through our marriage, our savings. He'd waited, planned, and she'd helped him. But why? Love? Greed? Or something darker, tied to her own past? I needed the ledger, needed proof. But Roger was too close, his hand on Ellen's arm, possessive. I backed away, my shoe scuffing the floor. Ellen's head snapped up. "Someone's here," she whispered. Roger grabbed a flashlight, its beam slicing the dark. I ducked behind a table, pulse deafening. The beam swept past, missing me by inches. They were coming closer, their steps deliberate. I had the key, the note, the watch's weight in my memory. But no answers. Not yet. Roger's voice was low, dangerous. "If it's him, we'll deal with it." Deal with it? My throat tightened. What were they capable of? And what did I really know about the woman I'd loved for 40 years? The library's air was thick, heavy with the scent of dust and deceit. I crouched behind a table, the key in my pocket a silent accomplice, as Roger's flashlight beam carved the darkness. Ellen's whisper, "Someone's here," hung like a noose. My pulse was a drum, too loud, betraying me in the 2025 Ohio night. Roger's shadow stretched across the floor, his steps deliberate, hunting. I'd seen that look before, 20 years ago when he'd vowed to make me pay. Now he was here, with my wife, their ledger of lies open in the next room. The watch's engraving, "To R, forever," felt like a taunt. Ellen wasn't just cheating. She was his weapon. The beam swung past, and I exhaled, barely. They moved back to the cabinet, Roger muttering, "Probably a rat." Ellen's laugh was sharp, nervous. "Let's finish this." Finish what? Stealing more? Framing someone else? I needed that ledger. It held the truth, about the money, the fundraiser, their plan. My hand shook as I grabbed it, the pages thick with numbers, names, dates, fake donations, transfers to offshore accounts, all signed by Ellen. My Ellen, the woman who baked pies for the church, was a thief. And Roger, his name was there too. R. Holt. Next to sums that made my head spin. 50,000. 100. Our retirement was pocket change compared to this. A photo slipped from the ledger, fluttering to the floor. I froze, heart in my throat as it landed face up. Me, 20 years younger, outside the school, Roger glaring beside me. Someone had circled my face in red ink, a slash through it. Ellen's handwriting? Roger's? The past wasn't just back. It was alive, vicious. Roger's voice cut through. "Tom ruined me once. He won't again." Ellen's reply was soft, chilling. "He doesn't suspect a thing." My blood iced. This wasn't just revenge, it was a game, and I was the pawn. What else did they know about me? I stuffed the ledger and photo in my jacket, my mind racing. Roger's grudge was clear, his failed exam, his ruined college plans, my fault. But Ellen, why join him? Love? Money? Or some wound I'd never seen? The cabinet held one more clue, a folded letter addressed to E. Dot. I grabbed it, but footsteps returned, faster now. Roger's flashlight swept the room again, closer. I ducked behind a shelf, the letter crumpled in my fist. "Check the cabinet," Ellen said, her voice tight. They'd know I'd been here. They'd know I had proof. I slipped toward the side door, my shoes silent on the carpet. The letter burned in my hand, unopened, a Pandora's box. Outside, the night was cold, the black sedan still parked beside Ellen's car. I could wait, confront them when they left, demand answers, or I could run, read the letter, dig deeper. The ledger's numbers danced in my head. Millions, not thousands, funneled through the fundraiser. This wasn't just about us. The whole town was their mark. I drove to Mabel's Diner, the only place open, its neon sign a flickering lifeline. The letter sat on the table, unopened, as I sipped coffee that tasted like ash. Old Pete slid into the booth across from me, his eyes sharp. Heard Roger's been bragging about a big score, something about the library fund. My grip tightened on the mug. A big score? Pete leaned closer. Watch yourself, Tom. Ellen's in deep with him. In deep. The words were a hook sinking into my gut. The letter's seal stared at me, daring me to break it. I could open it now, learn what Ellen hadn't told me, what tied her to Roger beyond money and spite. Or I could go home, face her, pretend I knew nothing while I planned my next move. The ledger was proof, but the letter, it felt personal, dangerous. Roger's words echoed. Tom ruined me once. He thought he'd won, but I wasn't the same man from 20 years ago. I was learning their game, and I'd play it better. As I reached for the letter, my phone buzzed. A text from Ellen. Where are you? Getting worried. Her concern was a lie, a trap. She was still at the library with him, plotting. The letter's weight grew heavier. One tear, and I'd know everything. Or I'd lose the last piece of the man I used to be. What was Ellen hiding that Roger knew? And what would I do when I found out? The diner's neon buzzed, a sickly pulse against the 2025 Ohio night. The letter sat on the table, its seal broken. Ellen's handwriting spilling secrets like blood. Roger's back. He still hates tea. Be careful. Dated 10 years ago, from someone named L. My hands shook, coffee cold in the mug. Ellen knew. She'd known Roger's grudge against me, since his school days, since I failed him, and she'd kept it quiet. The ledger in my jacket, heavy with fake donations, wasn't just theft. It was a trap, baited with my past. The watch, to our forever, wasn't love. It was a trophy. Mabel's Diner was empty, save for old Pete, snoring in a booth. The letter's words burned. He still hates tea. Roger hadn't stumbled into Ellen's life. She'd let him in, knowing he wanted me ruined. Why? Guilt clawed at me. Had I missed her pain, her reasons? Or was she always this, sharp, calculating, a stranger in my bed? The photo from the ledger, my face slashed in red, felt like a warning. They'd planned this, together, for years. What else has she hidden? The question drove me home, the ledger and letter tucked under my coat. Ellen's car was in the driveway, her errands over. I slipped inside, the house too quiet, her perfume lingering like a ghost. Upstairs, she slept, or pretended to. I didn't trust her breathing anymore. Her purse sat on the dresser, unzipped, tempting. I dug through it, heart pounding, and found a receipt from the Rusty Spoon, dated yesterday. $42. 2 drinks, 2 meals. She wasn't alone. And then a business card. Roger Holt, financial consultant. His number underlined. My throat tightened. The card was a hook, pulling me deeper. Financial consultant? A cover for their scam, funneling the town's library fund to offshore accounts. The ledger's numbers, millions, flashed in my mind. Ellen, the perfect volunteer, had played everyone. But the letter hinted at more, something personal. Be careful. Was Elle warning her about Roger? Or me? I needed to know who Elle was, what they knew. The ledger had no answers, but Ellen's desk might. Her study was locked, a new habit. The key in my pocket, S12, wouldn't fit, but a paperclip did the trick. Inside, her desk was a shrine to order. Pens aligned, papers stacked. Too perfect. I rifled through drawers, finding nothing but budgets and grocery lists. Then, under a false bottom, a journal. My pulse spiked. Ellen's handwriting, meticulous, filled the pages. R says T deserves it. I'm not sure anymore. My name, reduced to a letter, a target. L warned me again. I can't stop now. Stop what? The scam? The affair? Or something worse? Who's pulling her strings? The journal ended abruptly, mid-sentence, like she'd been interrupted. A noise. Footsteps. Ellen, awake, moving downstairs. My heart raced. I grabbed the journal, locked the study, and slipped into the hall. She was in the kitchen, pouring tea, her back to me. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked, voice syrupy. I nodded, journal burning in my pocket. "You've been busy," I said, testing. Her hand paused just a second. "Always am," she replied, smiling. That smile, sharp, practiced, cut deeper than the letter. I retreated to the guest room, journal in hand. The last entry. Meeting R tomorrow Old Mill. Final transfer. The old mill, abandoned, perfect for secrets. Tomorrow night I'd be there, watching. Ellen thought she was safe, thought I was clueless. But I had the ledger, the letter, the journal. I had proof. Roger's revenge was clear, but Ellen's motives, love, greed, or fear, were a maze. Was she his pawn or his partner? And who was L, the shadow in their game? The next morning, I followed her. Ellen drove to the community center, her face a mask. I parked across the street, journal open on the seat. A new clue, a phone number, scrawled in the margin next to L. I could call it, hear the truth, or lose everything. Ellen stepped out, glancing around, nervous. She was meeting someone, not Roger, someone who could unravel this, or bury me deeper. The mill was hours away, but this moment, this number, felt like the edge of a cliff. The phone trembled in my hand, the number from Ellen's journal glowing like a fuse. The 2025 Ohio dawn was raw, gray, the kind that makes you feel like you're already losing. I sat in my car, parked a block from the community center, Ellen's journal open on the seat. L wasn't just a letter. It was a lifeline, or a landmine. The ledger, the letter, the watch, they were pieces. But this number could be the key to why Ellen betrayed me. Roger's revenge I understood. His hate was old, sharp, mine to bear. But Ellen, her journal's doubt, I'm not sure anymore, was a crack in her armor. I needed to know who L was, what they'd warned her about. I dialed, 1 ring, 2. A woman's voice answered, soft, wary. "Who's this?" My throat tightened. Thomas, Ellen's husband. Silence, then a sharp intake of breath. "Tom? Damn, you shouldn't have called." I knew that voice. Laura, Ellen's sister, estranged for years. Laura, who'd vanished after their parents' estate fight, who Ellen swore she'd never see again. "You're L," I said, not a question. She laughed, bitter. "She kept my letters? Sloppy." My pulse raced. What did Laura know? Laura didn't wait for me to ask. "Ellen's in deep with Roger Holt. Been for years. He's using her, Tom, but she's no saint. The library fund? It's a front. They're cleaning out the town." The ledger's numbers flashed. Millions, siphoned offshore. "Why didn't you tell me?" I snapped. Laura's voice hardened. "I tried. She cut me off. Said you'd never believe me." My stomach sank. Had I been that blind? Laura's next words were a hook. "She's meeting him tonight, Old Mill." Endgame. Be careful, Tom. Roger's not just angry, he's dangerous. Dangerous? The word lingered as I hung up, journal shaking in my lap. Laura's warning echoed the letter. Be careful. Ellen wasn't just cheating or stealing. She was tied to a man who'd waited 20 years to ruin me. The old mill, a crumbling relic outside town, was their stage. I'd be there, hidden, watching. The ledger, stuffed in my glove box, was proof. But Laura's call changed everything. Ellen wasn't fully Roger's pawn. She'd chosen this, Part of it, at least. That evening, I drove to the mill, the key in my pocket, the watch's weight a ghost. The mill loomed, its broken windows like empty eyes. Ellen's car was there, parked beside Roger's sedan. My heart pounded as I crept closer, the air thick with damp rot. Voices drifted from inside, Ellen's, sharp, and Roger's, smug. "The last transfer's set," he said. "We're clear." Ellen's reply was cold. "And Tom?" Roger laughed. "He's nothing. Always was." My fists clenched. "Nothing? I'd show them. What's their endgame?" I edged toward a shattered window, peering inside. Ellen held a laptop, numbers glowing on the screen. Roger stood close, too close, his hand on her shoulder. My eyes caught something else. A duffel bag, unzipped, stuffed with cash. Not just digital theft. Physical, brazen. The ledger hadn't lied, but it hadn't shown this. Millions in their hands, ready to vanish. I could call the cops, end it now. But Laura's words stopped me. She's no saint. Ellen wasn't trapped. She was in. Then I saw it, glinting in the bag, a second key, twin to mine, stamped S12. Another safe? Another lie? My mind reeled. The community center safe wasn't the only one. Where was this one? What did it hold? Roger's voice cut through. "Once we're gone, Tom gets the blame." My blood froze. Blame? For their scam? They'd framed me somehow, my name on their fake accounts. Ellen's journal flashed. I'm not sure anymore. Was she doubting this? Setting me up? A twig snapped behind me. I spun, heart in my throat, but it was just a raccoon, eyes glinting. Inside, Ellen closed the laptop, her face unreadable. "Let's go," she said. Roger nodded, grabbing the bag. They were leaving, taking the cash, the truth, my life. I could follow, find the second safe, or confront them now, ledger in hand. But Laura's warning, dangerous, held me back. Roger's hate wasn't just personal. It was meticulous, and Ellen was his partner, not his victim. As their headlights flared, I ducked, the journal's number my only anchor. Laura knew more, and I'd need her to unravel this. The second key, the cash, the frame. Ellen and Roger were steps ahead, but I was catching up. What was in that other safe? And how far would Ellen go to protect her lies? The old mill's shadow clung to me, its damp rot seeping into my bones. The 2025 Ohio night was heavy, the kind that makes you question every step. I'd seen Ellen and Roger, their duffel bags stuffed with cash, their laptop glowing with stolen millions. The second key, glinting in the bag, haunted me. Another S12, another safe, another lie. Laura's warning, dangerous, rang in my head, but Ellen's journal, tucked in my jacket with the ledger, whispered worse. I'm not sure anymore. She wasn't just his partner. She was doubting, maybe breaking. I needed that second safe to know why. I tailed Ellen's car, keeping my headlights off, the ledger's weight a reminder of their scam. She drove to the community center, not home. My pulse quickened. The second safe was there, hidden where I'd never looked. I parked a street away, the key, my key, in my pocket, its twin a ghost in my mind. The center was dark, its lot empty except for her car. She slipped inside, a flashlight flickering. I followed, silent, the air thick with bleach and secrets. What's in that safe? The question drove me through the back door, past the S12 storage room. Ellen wasn't there. A faint hum led me to the basement, a place I'd never seen. A locked door, marked S12, stared back. My key fit, just like before. Inside, a safe, identical to the first, squatted in the corner. My hand shook as I turned the key. Papers, a USB drive, and a single envelope addressed to Thomas. My name, in Ellen's handwriting. My stomach dropped. The envelope held a letter. Tom, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The accounts are in your name. Forgive me. Accounts. I grabbed the papers, Bank records, transfers, all signed by me. Forged. Millions, funneled through the library fund, pinned on me. Ellen and Roger hadn't just stolen. They'd framed me, the perfect fall guy. The USB drive, proof, maybe, or more lies. I stuffed it in my pocket, rage burning. Why frame me? Her journal's doubt didn't match this. Was she saving herself, or saving me? Footsteps above. Ellen, leaving. I locked the safe, slipped upstairs, and watched her drive away. She hadn't seen me, but she'd know soon. The USB could expose them, or damn me further. I needed Laura. She'd known Ellen's secrets, warned her years ago. I dialed her number, parked in the diner's lot, Mabel's neon a flickering shield. Tom? Laura's voice was sharp. You found it, didn't you? I gripped the wheel. The safe. She framed me. Laura sighed. Meet me. Now Rusty Spoon. The Rusty Spoon was a dive, its jukebox whining Springsteen. Laura sat in a booth, older, harder than I remembered. Ellen's scared, she said, sipping whiskey. Roger's pushing her, but she's cracking. That letter? Her way out. Her way out. I slid the USB across the table. What's on it? Laura's eyes darkened. Proof Roger cooked the books, but it names you too. He's planning to run, tonight, with the cash. My jaw clenched. Roger, escaping, leaving me to rot. And Ellen, writing me into her exit. Can I trust Laura? Her warning had led me here, but she'd kept secrets too. Why help me now? I asked. She leaned forward, voice low. Ellen's my sister. I hate her choices, but I don't want her dead. Roger might. Dead? My blood chilled. The duffel bag, the mill. Roger's laugh. Dangerous. Laura grabbed my hand. Go to the mill. He's there, packing. Stop him, but don't confront Ellen yet. She's fragile. Fragile? The woman who'd forged my name. I drove to the mill, the USB a ticking bomb in my pocket. Roger's sedan was there, alone. No Ellen. My heart pounded as I crept closer, the ledger and letter heavy in my jacket. Heavy. Inside, Roger packed the duffel, muttering to himself. I could end this. Call the cops, hand over the USB, let him take the fall. But Ellen's letter, forgive me, stopped me. Was she trapped, like Laura said? Or was this another lie? Roger turned, his eyes meeting mine, and I realized I'd miscalculated. He wasn't alone. The mill's air was sour, thick with dust and menace. Roger's eyes locked on mine, his smirk ablaze in the 2025 Ohio dark. The duffel bag, stuffed with cash, sat at his feet, the second S12 key glinting beside it. My ledger, letter, and journal were heavy in my jacket, proof of Ellen's betrayal, but Roger's presence, his hate, felt heavier. 20 years ago, I'd failed him, a smug kid cheating his way through my class. Now he was here, stealing my wife, my life, framing me for their scam. Ellen's letter, forgive me, burned in my pocket. Forgive? She'd forged my name, set me up to take the fall. You shouldn't be here, Tom, Roger said, voice low, amused. He stepped closer, the flashlight in his hand a weapon. My heart pounded. Laura's warning, dangerous, echoed. I clutched the USB drive, their cooked books, my only leverage. I know everything, I lied, voice steady. The accounts, the frame. His smirk faltered just a second. Did he believe me? Before he could answer, a shadow moved behind him. Laura, her face pale, a tire iron in her hand. Back off, Roger, she snapped. My breath caught. She'd followed me. Roger turned, startled, and I seized the moment, grabbing the duffel's key. Laura swung the iron, not hitting, just threatening. Leave, now, she said. Roger laughed, cold. You're both pathetic. Ellen's already gone. She's smarter than you. Gone? My stomach sank. Ellen slipping away, leaving me to rot. Laura shoved Roger toward the door. Go, or I call the cops. He hesitated, then grabbed the bag and bolted, his sedan roaring to life outside. Laura's eyes met mine, fierce. "You okay?" "Why's she here?" The question gnawed as I clutched the key, Laura's tire iron still in her grip. "Ellen's at the community center," she said, breathless. "She's cleaning out the second safe. We need to move." The second safe? More proof or more lies? I nodded, mind racing. Laura knew too much, but she'd saved me. For now, I trusted her. We drove to the center, the USB drive a ticking bomb in my pocket. The ledger named me the fall guy, but Laura's words, Ellen's cracking, gave me hope. Maybe I could turn this. The center was dark, Ellen's car parked crookedly. Inside, the basement door was ajar, light spilling out. Laura grabbed my arm. "She's not alone," she whispered. My pulse spiked. Not alone? Another accomplice? We crept downstairs, the S12 safe open, Ellen kneeling beside it, papers in her hands. A man's voice, low, unfamiliar, came from the shadows. "Hurry, Ellen, Roger's waiting." My blood chilled. Waiting where? And who was this? I clutched the key, the USB, the ledger, my weapons. Ellen's journal flashed. I'm not sure anymore. Was she trapped or playing me still? Laura's hand tightened on my arm, her eyes urging silence. The safe held a new clue. A passport, Ellen's face, a different name. My heart stopped. She wasn't just running, she was vanishing. The man stepped into the light, older, gray-haired, holding a phone. "Roger says it's time," he said. Ellen nodded, her face unreadable, and stuffed the passport in her bag. Who's she becoming? The question hit like a slap. Laura pulled me back, her whisper fierce. "We can stop her, Tom. The USB, it's enough to expose them. But you have to choose now." Choose. Expose Ellen, Roger, this stranger, and risk the frame sticking to me? Or confront her, demand the truth, maybe lose everything? The passport's fake name burned in my mind. Ellen wasn't just a thief or a cheat. She was erasing herself, and me with her. I stepped forward, the key in my fist, ready to call her name. But Laura's hand stopped me, her eyes pleading. "Not yet," she mouthed. The man's phone buzzed and Ellen froze, her hands shaking. "He's here," she whispered. He? Roger? Or someone worse? The basement door creaked above us, footsteps descending. My throat tightened. We were trapped, the safe open, the truth in my hands. Ellen's new name, her new life, was seconds from slipping away. And I was seconds from deciding her fate. The basement's chill sank into my bones. The S12 safe's open maw mocking me. Ellen's passport, her new name, Claire Voss, stared up from her bag. A betrayal sharper than any knife. The 2025 Ohio night pressed against the community center, its silence a trap. Laura's hand gripped my arm, her whisper urgent. Someone's coming. Footsteps echoed above, heavy, deliberate. Roger. He'd left the mill, but he was back, hunting. The ledger, letter, and USB in my jacket were proof of their scam. Millions stolen, my name forged. Ellen's journal, I'm not sure anymore, was a lie or a plea. I didn't know anymore. The stranger with Ellen, gray-haired, pocketed his phone. "Roger's here," he said. Ellen nodded, grabbing the passport and a stack of papers from the safe. Her face was stone, no trace of the woman I'd loved. "Let's move," she said, voice flat. They headed for the stairs, unaware of me and Laura, crouched behind a crate. My heart pounded. She's leaving. Forever. The USB held their cooked books, enough to expose them, but the passport, Claire Voss, meant Ellen was already gone. I could stop her, scream her name, force the truth, but Laura's eyes, fierce, held me back. Who's the stranger? The question burned as the basement door creaked open. Roger's silhouette filled the frame, his flashlight slicing the dark. "Ellen, now!" he barked. She didn't flinch, just followed the stranger trailing. They were escaping. Cash, fake name, all of it. I clutched the USB, my only weapon. Laura whispered, "Let them go. We've got enough." Enough? To ruin them, maybe. But not to understand why Ellen chose this. Why she'd framed me. Why she'd let Roger's hate consume us. We slipped out a side exit, the night air sharp. Ellen's car roared away, Roger's sedan behind. Laura drove us to Mabel's diner, the ledger and USB between us. "She's running," Laura said, voice tight. "Roger's got a plane, private, out of Dayton. The stranger's his pilot." "A plane?" My stomach sank. Ellen wasn't just leaving me. She was leaving the country. The passport, the cash, the forged accounts. It was meticulous. Final. I opened the ledger again, finding a new page. My signature, faked, on a deed for a shell company. They'd tied me to every dollar. Can I stop her flight? The question gnawed as I sipped coffee, the diner's neon buzzing. Laura leaned forward. "The USB has Roger's real accounts, not just the fakes. Give it to the feds, and they're done. But it names you, too." My jaw clenched. Done. But at what cost? I'd be cleared, eventually, but the town would whisper. Tom, the fool, the fraud. Ellen's letter, "Forgive me," felt like a taunt. Forgive a woman who'd erased herself? I needed more. Back home, Ellen's study was untouched, her desk still locked. I broke it open, finding a hidden folder. Bank records, real ones, showing transfers to Laura. My breath caught. Laura? Paid off? Her saving me? Was it guilt or a deeper game? The folder held one last clue. A photo of Ellen and Roger, younger, in a bar. Not lovers, partners. Her journal's doubt was a mask. She'd been in since the start, since Roger's school days, planning my ruin. Laura's voice on the phone broke my thoughts. "Feds are ready, Tom. Send the USB." I hesitated, the photo in my hand. Exposing them meant exposing Laura's cut, her secrets. Or I could wait, find Ellen, confront her as Claire Voss, make her face me. The plane was leaving soon, hours, maybe. I could track it, use the USB as leverage, force her to confess. But Roger's hate, his pilot, their cash, it was a machine, and I was one man. I grabbed the folder, the USB, the ledger. The community center was my stage. I'd copy the USB, send one to the feds anonymously, keep the original. Ellen thought she'd won, thought Claire Voss was her escape. But I'd find her, not for love, not for forgiveness, for justice. Her new name wouldn't hide her, not from me. As I drove to the center, my phone buzzed. A text, unknown number. "Tom, stop. You don't know everything." Ellen, Laura, or someone new? The community center's basement smelled of betrayal, its shadows thick with Ellen's lies. The USB drive, ledger, and journal weighed down my jacket, proof of her scam. Millions stolen, my name forged. The 2025 Ohio night was a bruise, heavy and unforgiving. Ellen was gone, her fake passport, Claire Voss, her ticket to a new life. Roger's plane waited in Dayton, Laura had said, and the text, "Tom, stop. You don't know everything," burned in my phone. Ellen! Laura! It didn't matter. I'd end this, not with violence, but with truth. Her truth, laid bare. I copied the USB at the center, emailing the feds anonymously. Roger's real accounts, Ellen's forgeries, the ledger's numbers, enough to bury them. The original stayed with me, my insurance. I drove to Dayton, the private airstrip a speck in the dark. Ellen's car was there, parked beside Roger's sedan. My heart pounded as I crept closer, the plane's engine humming. She was leaving. Our 40 years, our home, me, erased for a fake name and stolen cash. Will she see me coming? The question clawed as I hid behind a hanger, the journal's words. I'm not sure anymore. A faint hope. Was she trapped, or was this her choice? The plane's door was open, Roger barking orders to the pilot, the gray-haired stranger from the basement. Ellen stood by the steps, her face pale, the duffel bag at her feet. No hesitation, no doubt. Claire Voss was real to her now. I gripped the USB, my plan clear. No screams, no fight. Just exposure, sharp and final. I stepped into the light, voice steady. "Ellen." She froze, her eyes wide, the passport slipping from her hand. Roger spun, his smirk gone. "Tom?" Ellen's voice cracked, a mix of fear and guilt. I held up the USB, deliberate. "Feds have it all. Your account's Roger's, the frame. You're done." Roger lunged, but the pilot grabbed him, muttering about cops. Ellen's face crumpled, not with love, but defeat. Was she ever mine? "You framed me," I said, each word a cut. "For him. For his grudge." Her lips parted, no words. Roger's laugh was bitter. "She wanted it, Tom. More than you." I ignored him, eyes on her. "Why?" She looked away, the journal's doubt a lie. "I was trapped," she whispered. "After your failure, his hate. I had to." Trapped. Number she'd chosen Roger's plan, forged my name, built Claire Voss. Her letter, "Forgive me," wasn't regret. It was theater. What's my justice? I tossed the photo from her folder, her and Roger, young, plotting, onto the ground. "You started this years ago," I said. "Not him. You." Her eyes flinched, the truth landing. I didn't need her confession. The feds would find them, the USB enough to unravel their web. But I wanted her to carry this, to know I'd seen her, all of her. "You're not Claire," I said. "You're Ellen, and you'll face that." I turned, walking away as Roger shouted. Ellen silent. The plane's engine roared, but sirens wailed in the distance. Feds, closing in. My email had worked. Back home, I filed for divorce, the papers simple, final. No public spectacle, no town gossip. Just me, free, her lies exposed. Laura called later, voice soft. "You did right, Tom." Did I? The town would talk. Ellen, the thief. Roger, the con. I'd be the fool, but a fool who'd won. The key, S12, sat on my desk, useless now. I mailed the journal to Laura, a last tie cut. Ellen's new life was ashes. Claire Voss would never exist. The feds had Roger, the pilot, the cash. Ellen would face court, her name, not mine, tied to the scam. My revenge wasn't loud, it was quiet, sharp, psychological. She'd live with her choices, her real name, her failure. I poured a whiskey, the cheap kind she hated, and stared at the Ohio dawn. 40 years, gone. But I was still here.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe my channel for more stories.